It's Friday, February 11th. I buy a lot of art, and for example, all the art on this bulletin board that I have, I bought in the last 10 to 15 years. And in the last 10 to 15 years, even though I've bought art from other artists and art galleries, I have not been put on any email lists and I haven't received any marketing updates or emails from either the artists or the art galleries. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because if you read any books on marketing, one of the things that they talk about significantly is this funnel idea. It's basically you're harvesting emails. So it got me to thinking about one of the things that happens with relationships in general. One of the reasons why a lot of relationships fail is because people ghost each other or they don't communicate with one another or they're poor communicators. And one of the first things that you learn as a marketing person, which most artists don't want to deal with, it's almost like it's a bad word to say you're marketing, and art business is something that most people don't want to know about, is that you have to send your collectors love letters and also communicate with them and not ghost them and let them know what you're doing and how you're painting. So I wanted to talk about making email lists and when to email and all that kind of stuff and just give a quick overview of that, how to do it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is don't use MailChimp or Constant Contact. There are better ways to do it on your computer without having to create those kinds of things. And I wanted to show you how to do that and how to make sure that you're able to communicate with your clients and send updates every couple of months about the new work that you've done. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was the idea that I have a whole bunch of email lists that I have started, and I really thought about this. If I set it by date, I started doing email lists in earnest in 2016, and what I did initially was I went through my entire Etsy site and every sale that I've ever made, and I pulled the emails off of there and put them into a text document email list. Now before that, one of the things that I did do was I used to ask people for their emails if they wanted to be on my ad list, and I also stole emails from other people's marketing emails and things like that, and I also went through the media and I combed it and I pulled off emails from that as well. And if you look at the dates on this, I haven't really done anything with my ad list or my media list since 2019, and actually some of the earlier media lists I haven't used for 10 years. And there's a good reason for that. People don't like to get spam if they haven't asked for it. And if someone has bought work from me, more than likely they're going to want to know if they've made a good investment, and they'll want to get updates from me. So I've really limited my emails. I don't send off to media or other people who are not interested, who haven't asked to be, because it literally bugs people, and I know I hate getting all these spam messages. So I want to show you how to make an email list and how to sort of fix it. Now, one of the ways that you can do it, and I'm going to go through this slowly, and if you're watching, you can actually pause the video and do each one of the steps, is make a folder that's called mailing lists. And the first thing that you do is put your cursor in the folder and then right-click on your mouse and go down to New. And what you want to do is you want to make a new text document. And this will be your newest, this will be the beginnings of your mailing list. I'm just going to show you how to do it. And I use Gmail, so if you're using Outlook, you'll have to set off the addresses, I think, with colons. But Gmail, you can use carriage returns, and you'll see what I'm talking about with that. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to call it something that you'll be able to recognize, and you want to back this up every once in a while. And so I'm going to put today's date on it so that I know what when I created this. So 2020, and then it is 211. Okay. Now, once you've made that text document, if you double click on it, it'll open up into a simple text editor. And so the first thing that you can do is, in order to do yours, you can go and decide to go into, for instance, whatever program, whether it's Shopify or PayPal or Etsy, and go to your former sales. So if you click on your orders, let's see where that is. And then go to your completed orders. And you can do the same thing in PayPal. And that's what I suggest you do, and also go through your emails. Neil is a good friend of mine, so you click on the name in Etsy, and then you move your cursor on top of the email address and right click, and you'll see a menu pops up, and then you can pull back down to copy email address. So once you've done that, you can go to your text document that's open, put your cursor inside it, and then paste that email address there, and then hit enter so that it skips down to another line. Now, I'm going to show you how you can pull emails out of email addresses out of emails. So I'm sure that these people who've spammed the hell out of me, because this is my spam folder, won't mind being put on an email list and having me see their email addresses. So all you have to do is just highlight the email address, copy it, go to your text document, and then paste it in there. You can go to Edit and Paste, or Control V, or right click on it. And then just go to your next message of people who've bought things. This is another spam message, so I'm going to grab this email address here and grab that. And this took me several hours of work to create my first email list, okay? Then make sure you hit save. So I'm going to show you one of the email lists that I've created, but I edited it slightly so that you can't recognize the email addresses, and I think it'll just make it easier for me without having to blur things out, so I just did a text replace. And what you do is, this is the latest one from 1/21/22, and you just say edit and select all, and then edit and copy. And because it has a carriage return or a new line after each one, when you paste it into an email, it's going to work out just fine when it does it. So let me show you first how I started doing this. So you want to compose a new email, and in the to box, you're clicked inside the to box, you want to go over to blind CC, but the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that everybody knows that you are sending it to yourself first. Then go to blind CC, which means that, and you got to make sure you do this, because otherwise people will swipe your email list and also start spamming your collectors, and your collectors might be mad at you for that. So you hit blind CC, okay, which means that no one else will be able to see the email addresses. And then you paste all of those email addresses into this box, and then you hit return, and it'll make them all populate that field. So let me show you how to do that with the email address that I just made, you know, the list with a couple of names that I just made a moment ago, so that it looks right, and you'll see how it does it. So these are some of the spammers. I'm copying those emails, and then I'm going to send it to myself first. So choose my address, hit blind CC, and then paste all the email addresses in there. See how it shows up. If it shows up in red, it means that it's not a usable email address. The domain name is wrong. And then you hit enter, and they all show up there. So let me show you an email that I sent off earlier and how it should look. So this has my brother's name and me in it, just, because I wanted to generate something. And it says, hello, Happy New Year, exclamation point. I hope that you've had a lot of success and happiness this year. I have around 36 new pieces of art available on my site. I'm attaching a PDF of the new work so that you can preview it. If you're interested, please visit my site. Now, a couple of things about my signature and about this email. First of all, I get usually 2 to 3 people write back and say, please take me off the list. And I just do it without questioning. And I'll show you how to do that in a second with a large list. Now, the other thing is I have a signature set up that has every single address that everybody will need to get in touch with me. So it has my YouTube, my Facebook, my Instagram account, my Etsy account, and my 2 domains. And so when people get this, a lot of times I get a flood of friend requests, and also I get followers on Instagram. Now here's the PDF that I've created, and maybe in another message or another video I'll show you how to do that with Photoshop, but I basically generate a PDF that is a low enough size and ease enough that people can just double click on it. It opens up, and it has the pictures that I've painted in the last couple of literally months, and underneath it has captions so that people, if they want to take a closer look, they can zoom in on the caption, and then they can go to my website and pull it up. And what I'll often have is people write to me and say, can you put that painting on reserve for me, please? And so I'll go into Etsy or I'll go onto my website and I'll deactivate that listing, okay? So this is what the email looks like, and when you do it, you just hit send. Now, you will get back responses from people where they want you to take it off the list. And so I think that every time I do an email blast, I get several of them saying, please take me off the list. And I don't grouse about that. So if you have a record of it, after each email, after each blast I do, what I generally do is I open it up and I go to File and Save As, and I change it to the most recent date. You can see the last one I sent out was 1/21, and so I'll change it to 2/11 so that I know what it is, and hit Save. And then, for argument's sake, I'm just going to grab an email. Let's say that I got a message from somebody saying, please take me off your list. So it's pretty easy. Now I have 400 names on this list, but all you have to do is go Control F, and it opens up a find box. Control F, and then you paste the email address from that person, and you hit Find Next. See how it goes down there? And so that once it goes down to this email address, then all you have to do is hit the delete button, highlight that email address, hit delete, maybe close up the space, and then that person is taken off of your list, and this is the most recent version of it. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this is to show you, oh, I have the older version that I can reconstruct things from, and then I've got the newer version. And that way I have some sort of record for myself of who's bought who, if this person has gotten in touch with me before. And it's just useful to have. I back up this folder usually once or twice every other month. And, and just to keep the listings. And you can see it goes all the way back to 2017 when I started doing this. And so I don't have to use any kind of pay to play service. I don't have to use SurveyMonkey or anything like that. So it's kind of an important thing to do this, and I wanted to show artists how to sort of manage things. So in conclusion, some of the main ideas here is the people who are most likely to buy your art again, or to buy your art in the first place, are people who've bought it in the past and who you have some sort of relationship with. So if you are not harassing them a lot, the idea then is to send them an email every 2 to 3 months Don't send people emails every week or every day. It'll drive them nuts and they'll ask to be taken off your list. The longer you wait in between emails, like the optimal time is probably 3 months, so get around 3 months worth of work done. Load up your website, load up whatever shop you're using, and then delete and then send off this email blast. So those people would be the most likely to buy things, and I also make it feels to people like you're communicating with them. And you are. You're basically getting in touch. So you're not ghosting them in this relationship. They invested in you, invested in your art. Have some sort of communication with them. And then a lot of times what will happen is people will write back and say, hey, I like that new work, or I can't afford anything right now. But it would be really cool if you wrote back immediately to those people and say, I totally get that. Everybody has money problems, or that's not a problem at all. And you write another, couple of things in which you share something about what's going on with you, or that you remember the painting that they bought, or you try to have some sort of communication with them. And if you know them through Facebook or you know them through Instagram, you can look them up, you can see what's going on in their life, and you can actually reply back. So usually I get, between 5 to 10 people reply back every email blast I do, and I look them up, or most of the time I know who they are, and I try to write them something personal and sincere back. So these are some ideas about how to stay in touch with your clients and with your collectors and with people who matter to you. You can put your friends and family on the list, but that really is, it's almost intrusive to do that unless they want to have you on it. And if someone writes back to you and says, please take me off the list, it's really annoying for them to get another email back saying, okay, I've taken you off the list. Just take them off the list and leave it at that. So I hope that this is useful for you guys, for people who are becoming artists or who are trying to manage their career. I just kind of want to help out. And if you want to be on my email list, just send me an email or a message, and I'll put you in this list as well. Thank you.